CPI print in March. So the numbers were released, I believe, yesterday or the day before, of CPI of 8.5%. And, for anybody following at home, I'm sure you know that inflation isn't just 8.5%. It's definitely a lot more. We'll get into some of the specific numbers here. This is all from the Fed as well. So fuel oil up 70.1%, gasoline up 48, energy commodities up 48.3, energy as a whole up 32%. Some new vehicles up 12.5%, and then used cars up 35.3. Food away from home, which is always an interesting one, up 6.9, or food at home, I'm sorry, up 10%. So, it seems like almost anything you need to live is up a lot more than 8.5%, but the reported number is 8.5%. So what do you think of, I guess, Bitcoin overall as an inflation hedge? Do you think that it's still kind of viewed this way in the United States? Or do you think, I guess, the utility, like becoming a legal tender, and the work that, Strike's doing with its ability to, send dollars from me to you, but using the Lightning Network, is kind of making it more, I guess, more of a utility opposed to just an inflation hedge?
Yeah, so I think Bitcoin has always been a very good theoretical inflation hedge just because of its properties. I don't think in the past it has acted as a great inflation hedge. It's grown a lot, but it's grown more like a speculative asset that has huge growth potential because it does, as opposed to sort of being a stable place to go stick money when inflation is going up. So I think it'll become. So I think even though it is an inflation hedge, that's not really how it's primarily used. I don't think people invest in it because it is a good inflation hedge, even though it theoretically is. I think that's going to change over time as the Bitcoin issuance rate decreases and as it sort of stabilizes. I believe we're still early on in a big growth phase, but I think if you look, 30, 50, 100 years down the road, there's a better chance that Bitcoin is far more stable than it is today. And at that point, it becomes more of an inflation hedge type investment as opposed to more of a investment for growth. So like I said, I think it's a good theoretical inflation hedge. And I think it's fantastic that we have an alternative currency that is not like a fiat currency that's just sort of not dictated exactly, but created by a government that controls it. If you look just a little bit into the Federal Reserve and realize your government can just sort of print money whenever they want, it doesn't seem like a great system. Like they just get to invent it, along with politicians spending money and handing out checks to people, and like there is no backing. It used to be backed by gold, and it's not anymore. And there are no rules about how it is printed, how it is created. There's just a group of sort of unelected people that get to decide how much they create and where it goes first. And so I don't think that's a very good system or a very fair system when, banks are allowed to just borrow money from the Fed, and you need licenses and regulations, and you have to be like a banker that, has a whole lot of power, and there's only a subset of them that are basically authorized by the government in the first place to be able to do that, right? It's not a fair system when only a subset of people have the ability to go create money out of thin air and then loan it to someone. Like if I wanted to ask the Fed for money for my own mortgage, like they wouldn't do it. They would look at me like I'm crazy. But a bank can go ask the Fed for money to then go back someone else's mortgage. And it's like, okay, well, that's not a good system when certain people have like a set of privileges, specifically money printing or borrowing money at a certain interest rate that other people don't. And then if you go back and look at sort of the 2008 financial crisis, all of those, the banks can go take risks, and then they just know, well, if we screw up real bad, people are just going to bail us out. And so the fact that there's a system where like everyone isn't sort of playing at the same level it's not a good one in my opinion. And so Bitcoin helps sort of level that playing field because everyone has the exact same opportunity to go become a miner or run their own node or invest in the currency. It's a level playing field where you know how much there's going to be. There's an algorithmic issuance rate. It just seems like a much better solution and a better system than what you have with governments around the world, where they just get to decide, I'm going to print some money today, and it's effectively like a tax that doesn't even go through any sort of Congress or other system. They just get to decide how much exists and do one-time taxes on people over and over and over and over again. And then a lot of that ends up leading to inflation, which then just increases people's costs and makes it even harder for people to live, which ends up hurting the middle class and lower classes. It reduces economic mobility, so that people can't move up, and it absolutely makes it more difficult for especially younger people and people going through college and school. When they get out, it's very hard for them to afford homes and sort of build a financial nest egg that other people might already have, and it just prices people out of the market, which I also don't think is a very good thing.